each contact has its own wire, and running along underneath here is what we call a common wire, all tied in to these verticals here. That will eventually be removed, but at the moment it provides one part of the circuit. So the question is, how do we know which of these wires matches up to the keys? So, very simple. All you need is one of these, a multimeter. Put it onto continuity, and what that does basically, when your two contacts come together, they will form a circuit, in which case it sounds a buzz. So one of the contacts I'm going to connect to the common rail under there via a little wire here. You can't see it, but it's there. Now, basically, take one of these, put the other contact on there, and all you then need to do is activate the keys. So it's none of the white keys, it must be a black key. There you go. So that there is number 47. Number 47, take our wire, feed that through so it's neat and tidy, like so. Just push it down there, and put that into hole number 47 on our wiring board. So we know now that's key 47. We'll do it again, get another knot. Take the next one, hold it in place, run down your keyboard, and there we go, that there is number 58. So we've got number 58, so we can put that there in number 58. Just turn the back over so it don't come out. Do the next one, just ease it through a bit, like so. Hold it onto that contact, run down the keyboard, there you go, that there is number 51. And so on until all of the wires are all identified and in place. Simple as that, quite a speedy process, but one you've got to get right, because getting one of the wires in the wrong order when you've got all soldered together means that when you press a key, the wrong note's going to sound, which you don't want, and then you've got to unsolder it all again. So I'll continue with that, and I'll get back and show you what the next stage is. About an hour later, we've got all the cables now identified, and they're all in the correct place on the board, and as you can see, I've divided them into groups of 8. The reason behind that is we're using an 8x8 scan matrix, something I'll explain a little bit later, and they go onto a separator board and they're joined onto that board using ribbon cable. So the next step is to join each one of these to a separate ribbon cable. Okay, the next stage is to take some 10-way ribbon cable, buy it like that, and then we're going to connect that to our cables. Now the first thing we've got to do is to divide the ends of the ribbon cable up into their separate conductors. The end one, number 10, this is 10-way cable, is going to be the common. And what we do, we take a good sharp pair of scissors, line it up in the groove like that, and then just slowly cut. You can feel when it's cutting right. Should be a nice smooth cut. Okay, same with number 9. And number 9 and 10 will actually be joined together because they're going to form the common. It's the other 8 that we're going to connect our board. Just cut down like that through each one. You do have to be careful. You can go to one side. Now, when they're all cut, I'll just do those for now. The next thing is to take a good pair of strippers. These are adjustable ones. Put them on the end, about 10mm in, pull back and strip. Just twist the wires together. It's a multi-core cable or multi-strand cable. pull that back, twist. And then number 9 and 10, twist them together because they are going to form the common. Then the others, we just strip them back like so. Make sure you don't remove any of the strands because the wire becomes too weak then. Okay, and we'll do that for all of them. So effectively we've got 10 separate wires at that point, 2 of them joined together. So there will be the common, number 1 at this end, go on 2, 3, 4, so that'll be 7 and 8. So they will then join to the ends of our cables that we prepared here. This end here will have a 10-way terminal block, and that plugs into the 8x8 separator board, which will then join on to our MIDI interface. Okay. Okay, so the next stage is to solder our connecting wires from the keys, remember they're in groups of 8, onto our ribbon cable. It's important we get them in the right order. Number 10 is this end here, which is marked in red. Number 1 is the far end. So number 1 to number 1, I've removed it there. I'll put here some heat shrink, and what that does, basically when we heat it up, it will shrink to the surface and it will form an insulation between the joints. So I'm going to join the 2 wires together using solder and a soldering iron, which I've got down there. Now, the important thing here is we've got multi-core cable here, very, very malleable, and we've got here a single core, which is much harder and firmer. We've got to join those 2 together. So just for the purpose of the video, I am using these clips, I don't normally do that. What I'm going to do, wrap them round each other so that the single core wire wraps around the multi-core, and then the last bit goes over onto the plastic insulation. It will then hold that in place. It'll stop it slipping apart. Make sure they're contacted. You've got your heat shrink on. Take your solder wire, take your soldering iron, and what I always do, heat up the wire underneath, bring the solder wire into contact till it flows along the surface, and you can see there it has flown along. So that is now a joint. What I'm now going to do is just bring the heat shrink over like so, so it covers the entire thing, the entire joint. See that? I'm just going to hold the soldering iron underneath, and the heat from the soldering iron will cause the heat shrink to shrink and form a tight fit around the joint, an insulated joint, and that'll stop that pulling apart also. Very easy way of doing it. It's much better than taping it, like so. And you can see now the joint has been made, and all the others are done the same.